Hey, it's Korinn, 365 Days of Open Heart Living, day 129. After an argument. It does not feel good after an argument. You don't feel good, and the person that you were arguing with also likewise does not feel good. Nothing feels good after an argument unless there has been conflict resolution and you've talked through and gotten some understanding between the two of you. But after an argument, the nerves and the emotions are kind of rubbed raw, right? Like that irritant just keeps on scratching and itching and rubbing up against you on the inside, maybe making you flame, maybe making you cry, maybe making you scream, whatever it is. Arguments they can be intense, right? Because the way that we deal with irritants is by becoming irritated. And in that irritation, we flame, we fire. And in the moment of having an argument and having the flame catch blaze, there's also things that pour more fuel on, like interrupting, not listening, circling around on the same thing over and over and over, and not breaking up and above and moving forward in the conversation. Having, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over and getting the same result. It's like that. In an argument, you want to be heard, you want to be understood, you want to be seen, and you are at odds with the person you're arguing with and what the matter is at hand. Or maybe there's a defensiveness that comes up. Maybe it's not so much that you're at odds, but you feel like you need to defend your position or your viewpoint. Maybe it's just two different viewpoints and they just don't line up and they just don't have the same perspective or value for the matter at hand. Maybe one holds the thing that you are in argument about to be of a nature that needs more direct and disciplinary action, whereas maybe the other one feels like it's something that needs to be more listened to and nurtured and allowed to have some space in it. There are many combinations and perspectives that we all take on, and in argument, that's when they clash. They clash. So sometimes when we have an argument or a disagreement and talk about a difficult topic, it can be hard. But we shouldn't shy away from the things that are hard. We shouldn't shy away from having the disagreement. Have it. Air it out. Let it be heard. Let how you feel be expressed. Let the other person respond to you. And even if it is in poor reactivity that you get a response back, the topic is still out there, right? That's not always a bad thing. When you have an argument, it's because something matters to the both of you. Something matters to the person you're in disagreement with, and something matters to you. And in the disagreement, maybe you aren't seeing quite eye to eye, but you both have a sense of what matters, and you're trying to communicate that. Sorry, I don't know why it's kind of itchy. Oh, it's just my hair blowing. Sorry for the distraction. Okay, I'm going to try not to itch myself. Yes, you have something that matters to the both of you. When we enter into disagreement, usually it's spontaneous. And if it's the first time in the disagreement, then as tensions heighten and we move forward in time of having the disagreement, eventually it fizzles out, has to get put down, gets paused on, and we move forward. Now, after an argument, we can still be holding on to emotional tensions, physical tensions, mental tensions, spiritual tensions that are causing us to feel heavier, burdened, unsettled, and like maybe sometimes even kind of hopeless and helpless. Like, what can I do to make this right? What am I missing? What did I not see that they were saying? What did they say that really upset me and I can't move past? There is so much when we argue that can leave hurt. And in having an argument about something once and not coming back to it, sometimes that hurt is left as a wound, as an open wound. And then in time, what happens with that open wound is it gets brushed up against again. It gets scratched and irritated and made to be inflamed. And then it's festering because it wasn't handled before. Maybe it takes several times of coming back around to that disagreement on the topic of the argument. And with hope and with responsibility for your own part in it, and with an ability to speak openly, honestly, with respect, there's an opportunity to come back to the same topic once you've had time to process it, once it's been hashed over a couple times, and come to terms with what a possible shared strategy could be for how to handle the thing that is causing the conflict, or how to speak gentler to each other in the conflict, or how to be quiet and listen to each other in the conflict. Conflict helps us grow and develop into having better conflict resolution, into being more openly workable in people not agreeing with us or having a different opinion. We don't all have to be the same, for heaven's sake, right? We don't all have to be the same. And sometimes having those conflicts and being irritated and then circling back around maybe again and again and again, and each time taking your personal responsibility of what part am I playing? Why does this keep happening? What can we do together to work it through? Steps are being laid to move forward in your cohesive ability to handle conflict together. That's a very important part of a relationship, to be able to handle conflict together. Because it's the antithesis, I think the word is, the antidote maybe, of what is going to solve the conflict when you can handle it together, and you can come in it, approach it together, and resolve it by mature, level-headed, open-hearted communication. And that's the thing I want to point out in talking about after an argument, is that you need to take time to settle. You need to take time to calm your heightened emotions and your heightened senses and your heightened thoughts about being angry, or what's wrong, what's right, or he did this, she said that. Calm in your heart. Calm down. Be introspective from your heart and really consider, What was my part in that? What did I do that made that spiral? What did I do that was not helpful? Was I combative? Was I sassy? Was I silent? Did I clam up and not say a word and just went cold? And in the introspection, look at yourself. Look at the part that you played. Conflicts are always two-sided. You and the person that you're in conflict with. And you're at odds, and you're clashing, and you're rubbing up against each other, irritating the piss out of each other. But when you give yourself a chance after an argument to calm your heart and feel your heart open and open to yourself, when you open your heart to yourself after an argument, then you feel your part and your place in having the disagreement with more self-honesty. And that is progressive in the way that you then approach that conflict or approach that person to talk about the conflict, to talk through it with a different state of being. Because you no longer are closed down from having the argument. That happens naturally, right? If something's coming at you, you close down. If something's coming at you, you fight back. If something's coming at you, you dodge, right? Like there's different things to do. If something's coming at you, you get defensive. There's different things that we do when people come at us in conflict. But when that person is removed and we sit with ourself in introspection of what was my part? What could I have done differently? What did I do to amplify the conflict that benefits you and that benefits them? Because then you get to come back next time with a more open heart, a more level mind, a more clear perception of it's not just them that has the problem, it's me. It's me that has the problem too. And maybe I'm not 100% on board with them having the problem. Maybe I don't agree with the fact that it's a problem, but I'm part of having the conflict, right? And then at the same time, in opening your heart and taking the time to calm and be introspective and think about what happened, what was said, hash it over from a different mind, than the mind that was hurt, from a different view of being hurt to a view of lifting up that shade of what was behind all that darkness of being in conflict. What was the shadow that was being cast from that person towards you in having the conflict? What was behind it? What was their real intention? What mattered to them in the case of the argument that they had passion to express to you? Their words, their thoughts, their feelings. Something mattered to them, and something mattered to you. Having insight and being open to accept that can help to give you tenderness to again step into having conflict resolution after an argument. You know, there's all different things that are hot topics, hot buttons. We have our cycles, we have our patterns that we go through over and over and over. But the over and over and over gets exhausting. If you want to move in a different direction, away from having those hot button topics that always end up in pain and always end up in argument and always end up with hurt and drive a wedge between you and that person you're in conflict with, then you have to be in touch with your heart. You have to be self-aware, and you have to be gracious enough to entertain that there's something under the surface that that person is communicating to you that matters to them, or even what's on the surface. Maybe they've told you point blank what it is, and you need to open your heart enough to listen. That is another positive of opening the heart, because what somebody says to you can fall on deaf ears if you are closed down to hearing what they're saying, and you're in your head and you're thinking about what this means for you and how you're going to respond to it and what you need to happen. And when your perspective is shut down and closed in into your experience only, that shuts you down and shuts them out. That's not good for either you or them. And what they say then maybe has fallen upon deaf ears. And you can't hear what matters to them. But when you open your heart, when you have the patterned practice of opening your heart and doing the inner smile and doing meditation and being self-aware and feeling yourself and being to connect mind and heart together and hash over things within your own being of, you know, looking at this angle, looking at what was said, looking at what was under the surface of what was said, looking at how I feel, looking at what I did, looking at what they did. Like, hash it all out. Think about it, digest it, let it dissolve and get softer. And in giving that space to contemplate after an argument and opening your heart, then maybe the thing that they said starts to be able to be heard in the next time that you communicate on the difficult topic. And maybe in time, what has seemed to have fallen on deaf ears, if they also cultivate an open heart, they'll be able to receive a little bit better and a little bit better, and maybe have some guidance from the two of you working together on how best to handle the conflict together. So, in talking so much about after an argument and having conflict and what part the heart plays into it, if the heart closes down during the conflict, give yourself space and time to open back up. It might take days. It might take more conversations of hashing through it and being an argument. But keep coming back to yourself and opening your heart to look within yourself and to lift up that shade and peek and see if your heart might be able to sense what is going on with them. What is going on with them? I remember after my husband passed, my late husband passed, sometimes the kids would be just nasty, just nasty. And sometimes I would look at them and just see their pain. That's their pain just being expressed through them. And maybe there was no real resolution. Maybe it was just a live wire. And I didn't think that far at that time at all of what I'm talking about today. But it makes me think of that sometimes there is literally stuff under the surface that is bothering them, and the conflict is coming out as looking like this when it's really about this, right? We've all had that bad day that shit didn't go right at work, and you get home and somehow you seem to be picking a fight with the person that you live with, and it just snowballs, and it's because you came home with the heaviness of what you endured at your job, and you brought that home, and you brought it into your communication. That edge, that communication with the person you live with became sharp, and something sparked, and the fire took off, and flames, are shooting out of your mouth and your eyes, and out of your heart too. You're just spicy. But what was the reason? Was it really that they asked, you a question? Or was it that you had already been carrying so much that you just burst? Know yourself. Be willing to open your heart to yourself and to seeing what really matters in the conflict and what could be underlying it. And open your heart now. Go ahead and close your eyes. After a conflict, if you just sit in stillness with yourself and breathe and feel your heart. Maybe let your thoughts wander to hash things over. But breathe and feel your heart as you do. Dipping into thought and back to feeling the heart. Over and over. Feeling your breath. Feeling your heart. Feeling your breath. Feeling your heart. Thinking about yourself in the conflict introspectively. What was going on in you? Feel the breath. Feel the heart. Soften to feeling the heart you have for them. You don't want to be in conflict. You don't want to argue. You want to open to working it out. Open to feeling your breath. Open to feeling your heart expand from within you to out around you. Open to your heart expanding to that person. In expanding your heart energy to them, you open to possibilities. You open to solution, to wanting solution, to being able to construct solution. And in that openness of your heart to yourself, your heart to them, your heart is open and stabilized to talk a little gentler, to see a little clearer, to give a little more effort in working together. Go ahead and open your eyes. After an argument, take aim to grow together in honesty, in openness, in respect, in acceptance, in understanding that you're two different people with two different pasts, two different paths, two different ways of operating, and that can actually be a strength in figuring out